Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times, brought to you this Tuesday, February 8, 2022, by Wilcon Depot, the country's leading home improvement and construction supplies retailer. Shop conveniently 24/7 with Wilcon online store. Just go to shop.wilcon.com.ph. For today's editorial, welcome to Cold War II. All of a sudden, the world has been thrust into what could be the opening phase of Cold War II. On the day the Beijing Winter Olympics officially opened last week, Presidents Vladimir Putin of Russia and Xi Jinping of China met in a summit that marked a deepening of political and trade relations between their countries. According to the Chinese Foreign Ministry, China and Russia are committed to deepening back-to-back strategic coordination and upholding international fairness and justice side by side. This is a strategic choice that will have far-reaching impact on both China and Russia and the world at large. The two superpowers could not have chosen a more symbolic stage to announce their re-energized team-up. The United States and a number of its Western allies have clamped a political boycott on the Beijing Olympics, allowing their athletes to compete but keeping their government's officials from attending. Holding the summit, the first in-person meeting between Putin and Xi in 2 years, at the start of the Winter Games, was their act of defiance against the boycott. Unsurprisingly, the two leaders' first joint message included a warning to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, to stop its expansion in Eastern Europe, and a denunciation of the security alliance established by the US, Britain, and Australia in the Asia-Pacific region. Putin has been insisting it was NATO's campaign to reach out to countries about Russia that prompted him to assemble an invasion force at its border with the Ukraine, a move that has European governments on edge. Xi, meanwhile, has intensified intrusions into Taiwan's airspace in reaction to American warships sailing close to islets in the South China Sea that China claims is part of its domain. Putin and Xi want to drive home the point that they have formed a formidable bloc that can face up to the US and its allies in a theater of confrontation anywhere in the world. The First Cold War began right after the end of the Second World War, as suspicions between former allies against Nazi Germany festered. Its first major flashpoint flared in 1948, when the Soviet Union blockaded Berlin, preventing its erstwhile Western partners from supplying the German capital with food and other vital materiel. Since then, the West and the Soviet bloc had had one standoff after another, in hotspots throughout the world in a deadly game of provocation. The Cold War finally thawed out after the Berlin Wall was torn down in 1989. The Soviet Union was dissolved not long after, leaving an economically emancipated Russia to pick up the pieces. 4 decades later, Russia, with Putin firmly at the helm, is reveling in its role as a dominant global player. Now it feels strong enough to face off with its longtime nemesis in Europe, NATO. During the same period, China has established itself as the economic, technological, and military giant in Asia, but it doesn't stop there. Xi wants to enhance China's international appeal with the rest of the world. Once unchallenged in shaping the global order, the US has realized that in the evolving geopolitical landscape, it needs to strengthen its alliances if it is to hold the line against a rejuvenated Moscow-Beijing bloc. Such coalitions will be put to a severe test in the Ukraine and the Indo-Pacific. It also needs more decisive action in responding to potential conflicts. The First Cold War triggered an unprecedented arms race that led to a buildup of enough intercontinental ballistic missiles to create a nuclear winter many times over. The next Cold War may not lead to actual conflict, but it could result in massive disruptions in oil production and distribution, which could devastate economies. Cyber warfare could take down critical technology infrastructures and paralyze communication and information systems. The lines have been drawn, but there is still time for the rival alliances to step back and rethink their strategies. Negotiations offer a valve that will ease the pressure and diffuse the tension. The road to a peaceful resolution is a difficult one, but we have no choice but to take it. And that's the editorial for Tuesday, February 8, 2022. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.